Welcome to Sportsource Game of the Week. I'm your host, Charlie Dew. Tonight, the Clark Central women's soccer team travels to Jefferson for another bout on the pitch at 5:30 in Jefferson Memorial Stadium. The last 4 matchups between the Gladiators and Dragons resulted in a Jefferson sweep and Clark Central being shut out from scoring. For tonight's matchup, the big question is, can Clark Central score its first goal on Jefferson and win, or will the Dragons continue to roll and topple the Gladiators? Sportsource reporter Carly Smith joins us now. She sat with Jefferson's head coach. Carly, what did you learn about the Dragons?
Thank you, Charlie. Jefferson has controlled the narrative and held Clark Central scoreless in their last 4 matchups. But head coach Molly McCarty says she will never make light of any matchup, especially with the talent in the Athens community. The Dragons are coming off 2 wins on the road, both games leaving the other team at 0. I sat down with Coach McCarty, and this is what she had to say about her team so far. You're off to a strong start this season. What have you liked most about your team the first couple of games?
I've loved seeing them build the strength that they built within the team. Going into Mill Creek, it wasn't just a cupcake scrimmage. We had to fight for that. We played 23 girls in that scrimmage. We lost it, but when you win a scrimmage, you lose it. So we went into Buford, tied them in regulation, went to PKs, so continued to see that. But last week had a great game, was able to see some offensive firepower. And so this week, we just want to continue to see that growth.
Your team has never allowed a goal to Clark Central in the last 4 meetings. How do you make sure the players don't overlook this matchup?
We would never overlook any game, especially at Clark Central. They have a very dynamic soccer community in Athens. Even though we might have beaten them in the past, doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen Friday night. We never want to overlook something because every game is like a playoff game for us. So coming in Friday night, yeah, maybe they haven't scored a goal against us, but we just have to continue to stay consistent for Friday night.
What does a successful performance look like for you on Friday beyond a final score?
That word consistency. Are we consistent in our attack? Are we consistent with breaking lines of defense? Are we consistent with penetrating our passes and making target passes to feet into our players and not forcing the ball? That's going to be key for us, and that's what we're really focusing in on for Friday.
What's the biggest point of emphasis in practice this week?
Yeah, just making sure that we are staying calm and staying focused and not giving in to pressure. We want to press the ball. We want to win the ball. We want to go forward with the ball. You win games by defense, but you also have to win the game by scoring goals. So that as long as we have that good, consistent balance, that's what we're looking for Friday night. Still very early in the season.
What kind of leadership are you seeing from your seniors early this season?
We have 10 of them, and they've been with us since 6th grade. Most of them been in here since they were in pre-K, so they love Jefferson. They love it so much that they are passionately pouring in to not just our JV girls, but our middle school as well, which is our culture. And, something I always ask them is, what is your legacy going to be beyond this? And they're just pouring their heart and their soul into this and using this as a platform for something much bigger than what they believe.
Even with the 4 incredible past matchups for the Dragons, Coach McCarty prioritizes how much teams can change year to year. It's a never expect less from any opponent. Defense wins games, but Coach emphasizes harmony on both sides of the ball, as she expects stability and rationality from her team. With her more senior roster, the Dragons will look to push their offense and hold their streak against Clark Central tonight. Back to you, Charlie.
Thank you, Carly. We will see how the Dragons' offense will strike after scoring 10 in their last outing. After the break, we check in with Clark Central and see what the Gladiators plan to do to not repeat history. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Sportsource Game of the Week. Now looking at the Clark Central side, Sportsource reporter TJ French joins us now and has the details on how the Gladiators are preparing for this matchup against Jefferson. TJ, what can you tell us about this Clark Central team?
Thanks, Charlie. For this Clark Central team, they are adjusting to new leadership under head coach Chris Holsey, and the Gladiators have had mixed results in their first 4 contests. Sitting at 2-2, last Friday featured a big 9-0 victory over Weiner Barrow, but the Gladiators were then shut out by Oconee County in a 1-0 loss on Tuesday. I recently spoke to Coach Holsey on some of the challenges he's been faced with since taking over and what he's looking for from his team against Jefferson.
All right, just
What are some of the challenges you face since taking over as the Clark Central girls soccer coach? Just, leading a group of young women.
One of the biggest challenges with taking over a team that's already played the first game of their season is getting to know a team. Um, I was the girls soccer head coach at Clark Central for 9 seasons and 10 years previously, but the my current senior class were the incoming freshmen that I never got to coach. So I had no institutional knowledge of the girls or their capabilities or what their personalities were like on the field. And soccer is very much a game of expression, and you see a lot of creativity that's individualized come out. So, step one was probably learning names because that's really important too. And then the next step was making sure that I started to grasp what they were capable of and what kind of roles they would be able to play for us on the field.
Yeah, and focusing on this Friday's matchup against Jefferson, they come in as a dynamic scoring threat. Just how do you limit, or what are some ways you can limit their attack?
Honestly, in terms of Jefferson's attack, I don't know that the conversation needs to be about limiting their attack, right? They are going to be a very skillful and very strong side. So really my focus is on us, on our discipline and the way we are organized when we're transitioning back to defense or kind of our shape when we're playing defensively. And I will say that aside from that, making sure that I try to put my girls in the best position I can so that they can be dynamic and athletic in order to make plays.
Yeah, that kind of leads me into my next thing. Just what are you kind of hoping to see out of the group on Friday?
Effort, right? No matter what, I feel like X's and O's can always be corrected. You can always second guess things, but effort is an individual choice. And so I genuinely hope to see our young women from the first whistle to the final horn, giving everything they've got on the field to the best of their ability.
Yeah, and with such a busy schedule, I think this will be your third game being played in 8 games. Just kind of what's the mindset of the group with such a quick turnaround and kind of the message?
Next one, eyes up, right? I mean, that's sort of the nature of high school soccer, the typical routine, and it does break occasionally because of school schedules, but varsity programs tend to play on Tuesday and Fridays, right? So no matter what, you kind of have one practice before one and two practices before the other, and that's sort of the rhythm of it. So it is a quick turnaround in that I believe as a coach that you have to look at how you played and really reflect and be a little introspective, while at the same time, as quickly as you can, getting your eyes up and looking toward the next challenge and preparing yourself.
Yeah, and then what's one key detail that you think will kind of decide the way this game will play out?
I think one of the decisive factors is going to be who dictates the pace of play of the game. If Jefferson's able to make the statement of how we're going to play, or if we can make the statement of how we're going to play, that almost always in a matchup of athletes is going to be the decisive matter.
While Clark Central comes in with their chips stacked against them, Coach Holsey emphasizes discipline and organization as a way to limit the strong Jefferson attack. Back to you, Charlie.
TJ, thank you. It'll be interesting to see how the Gladiators bounce back after Tuesday's loss. After the break, our Sportsource analysts Michael Feinberg and Charlie Lacey will dive deep into the key stats and players for both teams. Stay with us. Welcome back to Sportsource Game of the Week. Joining me now are our Sportsource analysts Michael Feinberg and Charlie Lacey. First, let's learn more about this home team. Michael, Jefferson is 4-0 against Clark Central head-to-head all time. What gives the Dragons such a clear edge in this rivalry?
When you look at this matchup, the numbers back it up. The Jefferson Dragons are averaging 4 goals per game, and they've built their identity around high-pressure transition offense. They score easy, they score in bunches, and they're comfortable protecting a lead. But what really separates Jefferson is experience. They return 10 seniors and 10 starters.
Compared to other teams, our experience is what a lot of other teams don't have. We're able to know each other's strengths and weaknesses because we know how to work with each other, which I think that's really good because we know what we need to do to be in order to succeed and communicate.
That chemistry is exactly why Jefferson plays so fast and so confidently. When you've played together for that long, you're not thinking, rather you are reacting to what your teammates are doing and you always have their back. That's what makes Jefferson so dangerous in this matchup.
Michael, what did you learn about Jefferson's defensive plans and goals so far this season?
What stands out is that Jefferson doesn't just rely on its high-scoring offense, they also take tons of pride on defense. Yes, they've scored 4 goals per game, but they're also forced to tighten up against a tough non-region schedule after they gave up 3 goals to Buford earlier this season. Jefferson has made it a priority to make sure their positioning is correct and that they communicate.
For defense, the biggest thing is positioning, making sure we're all in the space, zoning our areas. Communication is also big for that too. So defending-wise, as long as we do those 2 things, communicate and make sure we're in positioning-wise, we'll do really good.
That emphasis on defense shows Jefferson isn't just trying to win games, they're trying to control them. And if that unit plays to its standard tonight, it makes an already tough matchup even tougher for Clark Central.
Can you tell us more about some of the key players for Jefferson?
Jefferson has lots of firepower. Number 27, Sammy Soups, has already proven she can finish. She scored 2 goals against Walnut Grove, and she's dangerous in transition. Then you look at number 10, Ariel Vermillion, a senior and Elite Club's National League first-team all-conference player. She brings composure and vision to the midfield, and she's the connector that makes everything flow. And defensively, players like Chloe Robertson anchor a back line that returns 10 starters. That experience shows up in communication, positioning, and leadership. When you combine the proven scores with veteran chemistry and defensive stability, that's why Jefferson looks like a complete team coming into this matchup.
Thanks, Michael. Charlie, Clark Central has not scored against Jefferson in 4 all-time meetings. What has to change tonight?
It starts with confidence. Clark Central has created chances this season, but against Jefferson, the issue has been breaking down a compact defense. They need quicker ball movement and better decision-making in the final third. If they can find openings and have the confidence to take shots, they can finally break that scoring drought.
From your interview with senior goalkeeper Clarice Burrell, what stood out about how this team is preparing defensively?
Burrell emphasized organization and communication. These players having faith in themselves and their team will keep them in the game.
I don't know if we've ever really had this much of a preparedness. Like, we know they're good shooters, we know their feet, their dominant feet and stuff like that, and we know things about their back line. We also just have a really good team this year. We have good forwards, we have good midfielders, and everyone knows how to get the ball up there. And I think that's the most important way to score, is just being able to get it up there and kind of take everything you can. And I think that too, confidence has been low historically, but I think now people, since they take a shot and they make it, I think everyone's going to be taking what they have, and that's really the only way to score.
Clark Central knows that Jefferson is a fast and a tough team to beat, but the Gladiators have tactics to combat their dominant areas. If Clark Central stays disciplined, avoids early mistakes, and remains aggressive, they give themselves a real chance.
If Jefferson scores first, how does Clark Central stay in this game?
Burrell talked about composure. As a goalkeeper, she sees everything and sets the tone emotionally. The plan is to stay calm, reset quickly, and build from the back rather than panic. Success for Clark Central in the first 10 minutes will be controlling tempo, limiting high danger chances, and proving they can dictate play instead of reacting to it. Back to you, Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie. The big question remains, will Clark Central finally score and win, or will it be deja vu, keeping Jefferson undefeated? After the break, our analysts will have their score predictions. Keep watching. Welcome back to Sportsource Game of the Week. Now it's time for our analysts' score predictions. Michael, Jefferson has shut out Clark Central in 4 straight meetings. Does that trend continue tonight?
I think it does. Jefferson has controlled this matchup defensively, and until Clark Central proves that they can consistently finish quality chances, I'm sticking with the trend. With Jefferson's veteran experience, home field advantage, and if they score early and stick to their defensive principles, I predict a 4-0 Jefferson win.
Charlie, you've covered Clark Central closely. Do they finally get on the board?
I think they do. This feels like the year they break through. They're more confident, they're more composed, and they're not going to play this game on their heels. I don't think they win. Jefferson's firepower is real, but Clark Central is too organized and too motivated to get shut out again. I've got Jefferson 4-1, but Clark Central finally gets on the board. Back to you, Charlie.
A shutout prediction from Michael and a breakthrough goal prediction from Charlie. We'll see which one plays out tonight at Jefferson Memorial Stadium at 5:30 for our Sportsource Game of the Week. For Carly, TJ, Michael, and Charlie, I'm your host, Charlie Dew. We'll see you next week.